Hello, I'm Dr. John Smelcer, and welcome to another episode of Ahtna 101. This is episode 85. It's part 2 of words related to shelter, structures, buildings, houses, and I recorded episode 1 of this, part 1 of this, like a month ago, but because of COVID-19, I've not been very diligent about posting these. Speaking of COVID, it's August 2020 and the pandemic is still raging across America. But my tribe, Ahtna Incorporated, just today I received a second COVID stimulus check, if you will, from the tribe that was paid to everyone in the tribe to help them out during these hard times. And I just wanted to do a shout out, a thank you to Ahtna Incorporated and the board of directors for that. So we'll start off with the word for bathroom, or more specifically, outhouse. If you remember the word for house, that was one of our first words in this section, is hnok, hnok. So outhouse is chanok, chanok. Chan is the word that we use like in grizzly bear, chani. It means smells like feces, smells like poop. So it's literally poop house, chanok. Church, our word for church would have been from the period of Russian Orthodox influence in Alaska, and it's a Russian loanword. We say chilga, sometimes chilgak, but the Russian loanword was chirkov, chirkov. So you can see a similarity in that. Smokehouse. Almost everybody in a village has a smokehouse. It's where you hang your meat or salmon to smoke and to dry and to cure, so you can put it away. My Uncle Herb had a really big one, but really pretty homemade, homemade looking to say the least. So smokehouse is sletnok, sletnok. So knock, house, and our word for smoke is slet, so sletnok. People in Mentasta may say sletkonok, so the ko part is extra. Camping place, you find a great place to go camping. Put your tent up, make a campfire. That word is yuthka, yuthka. School. We're debating right now, do we send our children back to school? Well, our word for school is simply dakteldihi, dakteldihi. Every village, every native village everywhere in Alaska has a community hall. I mean, we could call it a community dance hall, but it's where people in the village can get together in a larger building to do events. We call that skeljesi. Skeljesi. The post office, we have a post office, like most places, and that's Giligak Delyesta. Giligak Delyesta. Giligak is a Russian loanword for the word for paper. So it's the place where you take your papers, your letters, your envelopes to mail. A cache, C-A-C-H-E, is, I think, a French word. And it's basically a little house, very small, 5 feet by 5 feet or so, even smaller, that's up on stilts off the ground. And that's to keep animals from getting into the cache, which generally stores food, mostly food type things. And our word for cache is simply cha, cha. There was a kind of an underground cache where you just dig a deep hole and cover it up so it stays cool, the food stays cool, but also protected somewhat. And that's nincha. Nin means land or ground, so ground cache. A pole cache, I think, is like what people use backpacking nowadays, where you pull your food up in a big bag high above the ground off a tree or something so bears don't get it. So a pole cache is kincha, sometimes called dacha. A small room, like a shed. If you have a shed in your backyard, that's just kolth, kolth. And in the old times, there was a little tiny hut near your house if there was a woman in the family, a girl. And during their menstrual period, the girls had to leave the family, leave the house, and go out and live in these little tiny menstrual huts for the duration of their cycle. And they would have to count each day on a string. So there was, 5 days or 7. And that's how long they had to stay out there. And we have a lot of taboo traditions related to menstruation, and that was called kolthta, kolthta. Well, that's enough for this episode. Stay tuned for the next one.